And we're back.
Hello again.
Episode 73 of
The Horror Guys.
That's us. I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin, with my bony little hands. Hello.
You know when we put the title in the video, that's going to be below where anybody can see.
See my bony little hands?
My bony little hands. Wow. Okay, so this week, believe it or not, we've got some movies for you.
We do?
We've
What
got
do I see?
the Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller version of Frankenstein, as well as the 1983 cult classic Videodrome, as well as even older classics like The Frozen Ghost from 1945 and Dracula, Who Has Risen from the Grave in 1968. And we might even have a short for you.
Maybe, if you're lucky.
Yeah, you ready?
I'm ready.
Spoiler alert, because here we go.
So we saw a movie called The Frozen Ghost from 1945.
Yeah.
They hadn't invented color yet, so it's still in black and white. Another Lon Chaney Jr. film.
Another Inner Sanctum film. This is number 5 in the series.
So we get to hear his inner thoughts. That was the whole ongoing gimmick of the Inner Sanctum.
Seems to be,
movies,
yeah.
Was his inner monologue, his inner dialogue.
Am I a killer? Did I do it? Am I the guilty man? I think I am.
He talks a lot without moving his lips because it's what he's thinking.
Yeah. This one's directed by Harold Young, written by Bernard Schubert and Lucy Ward, stars Lon Chaney Jr., Evelyn Ankers, and Milburn Stone. 1 hour, 1 minute. Link in the show notes to pick up your copy. Actually, you don't have to pick up your copy. You can watch this one for free online. There's a link for that in the show notes.
Free is good, and on Vimeo. Vimeo's carrying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah, overall, yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah.
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 Maybe we've seen 5 of the Inner Sanctums so far, and there are 6. I think this is the best one so far.
It kind of reminded me of an ongoing theme that a lot of Lon Chaney Jr.'s roles have, where he's a depressed simp, kind of. He thinks he's a killer, which in the Werewolf he
Certainly
was.
all the Inner Sanctums it works out that
Yeah.
way. He's a killer, but no, he's not really. But it looks like he is. He thinks he might be.
And so he's depressed, and it's ruined his life, and he doesn't want to go or do anything.
And the Werewolf was like it too.
And the Werewolf was like that for him too, which he was a killer in the Werewolf, but here he's not necessarily, but he thinks he is, and so he's no good, and he can't do anything, and
very quickly
can't
got
love anybody, and
typecast.
nobody loves me, and I can't love anybody, and I can't do anything, and
the innocent murderer.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, want to give us a synopsis?
Mara is the subject of the great hypnotist Gregor the Great. He can hypnotize a person and make them into a psychic. He's not a psychic. He's a hypnotist. Mm-hmm. But if he hypnotizes you, you can do psychic things. He hypnotizes a man from the audience, but the man dies on stage. That ain't good.
No.
Alex Gregor thinks he willed the man to death because he was an obnoxious drunk, making a fool of him, and he wanted him dead. And he admits his guilt to the police.
And the police
I
think it's
killed him.
ridiculous.
I killed him.
Yeah.
And the coroner says no, he was just a drunk and he died. He tells Mara that he thinks they should break off their engagement because he's really a murderer now. The police say the man died from natural causes, but Gregor is still convinced that he did it. Gregor creates a will that leaves everything to Mara, and his manager George tells his friend Valerie about it. Well, Valerie also runs the local wax museum.
Convenient, eh?
George and Alex go to visit the museum and see Valerie and her niece Nina. Her assistant Rudy shows them how the wax figures are put together. Rudy, turns out, is a disgraced plastic surgeon who now makes wax figures.
Uses his sculpting skills on wax now instead of flesh.
Yeah, or does he?
Or does he?
Does he? Alex moves in with them, and Rudy likes Nina, but Nina likes Alex. Valerie accuses Alex of lusting after Nina, but he proclaims his innocence. Then he kills Valerie with his mind as well. The first time wasn't a fluke.
Huh.
Dun dun dun, there's a turn.
Yeah.
Well, the police come looking for Valerie, but Rudy has hidden her body amongst the wax figures. Nina finds the body and Rudy chases her. Nina finds Alex with Valerie's scarf and thinks they're both in on the crime together.
Yeah, and I thought this was kind of, okay, a little bit lame. It wasn't wax museum style, where it's real bodies covered with wax, and he was, doing these macabre murders and making them into wax figures. No, he just lays the actual body among the wax figures. Okay, that's kind of obvious because
it's going to smell pretty soon too.
Yeah, and people's going to start saying, "What's that smell?"
Well, the twist is that we haven't got to yet is that they're not really dead.
Yeah.
Where are they?
Well,
George and Rudy are trying to have Alex committed to invalidate the will. It turns out Rudy has put Valerie and Nina into suspended animation, hypnosis-wise, but Valerie is actually dead.
Oops.
I guess they forgot to feed her or something.
Mm-hmm. Got carried away on that one.
Well, they plan to throw both women into the wax-melting furnace to get rid of the evidence.
Which is absurdly huge. It's, to melt the wax, you need a little, cauldron or whatever. It's this, small room-sized furnace. It's just ridiculously, yeah. So you can throw bodies into it and dispose of them.
Yeah, easily. Yeah. Well, he hypnotizes Mara and uses her new psychic ability to draw out the murderers. They catch George with the help of the police and then rush downstairs to save Nina. Rudy then conveniently and clumsily falls into the fire pit all by himself and dies.
Didn't see that coming at all.
I figured there'd be a fight or something, not he'd stumble his way into it.
Yeah, that was a little bit lame.
And then, as a final little bookend, Inspector Brent comes asking for help with a new case, and he wants Alex to help. Dun dun dun, the end.
Yeah.
It's got the same inner monologues as the other films in the Inner Sanctum series, which is starting to grow on me a little bit. I didn't like all the narration in the first one, but yeah, it's getting better. Mm-hmm. And it once again also has the melodramatic soap opera style of filmmaking. The whole plot hinges on whether or not Alex can actually make Mara telepathic through hypnosis, which is kind of a new idea, but it's still a little stretch of the imagination there.
A little bit.
I can make you psychic.
Right.
You're not psychic, I'm not psychic, but I can make you psychic. Still, this was one of the better films of the series.
I think it was my favorite of the series. Silliness aside and faults aside. Don't think too deeply about it aside.
Preview ahead, overall, I've seen the sixth one also, and I think this is the best one of the series.
Okay. Yeah.
So, going through time, last we saw with Christopher Lee.
He fell into a moat.
Which one was that? Dracula
does stuff and then dies at the end.
I want to say it's Risen from the Grave, but that's the one we're talking about now. No, that's this one,
Risen from the Grave. Dracula Strikes Again.
Yeah, something.
Dracula's Revenge.
Whichever one came before this.
We are embarrassed to admit that we cannot remember what the name was.
It's only like 2 weeks ago that we saw it, too. They shot the ice out from beneath Dracula. He fell in the moat of the castle, and the running water killed him, supposedly. Well, in Dracula Has Risen from the Grave in 1968, spoilers, he comes back.
Yeah. How do they do that? They kill him.
Well, this one makes more sense than some of the others.
Kill him, keeps coming back.
Yeah, like the first one when they killed him in the sunlight, and he turned to dust, and the dust all blew away. How do you come back from that? You got nothing to work with. At least this one, there was a body frozen in ice.
A very meticulous butler that swept up all the dust.
He's missed like 3 grains of salt, and now Dracula's got a bald spot or something.
Yeah.
Did you like this one?
Yes, I did. Overall.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good. And it was actually Hammer's most profitable of all the Dracula movies.
Well, they let Christopher Lee speak in this one again.
They did.
They didn't speak in the previous one.
They let him speak. Yeah.
Directed by Freddie Francis, written by Anthony Hines, who do all of these things. Christopher Lee, Rupert Davies, and Veronica Carlson. Hour and 32 minutes.
Dracula, Prince of Darkness.
Yeah, that was the second one.
And it was more than 2 weeks ago. See, we're not totally lameoids. It was many weeks ago. Dracula, Prince of Darkness from 1966, and this is a direct sequel. Some time has passed, but yeah.
1 year has passed, actually. Mm-hmm. But not in the first scene. In the beginning, it's simultaneous to the previous one.
Right.
A boy rides his bicycle to the church. He's the janitor of the church. He's a little mute kid. He goes inside to ring the church bell and notices that the rope is covered in blood.
Ew.
The priest comes in and climbs the long, winding stairs to the bell tower to find a dead girl hanging inside the bell with bite marks on her neck. "When shall we be free of this evil?" the priest cries. Time passes, and we see that the winter has come and gone. What was the girl's name?
And we're free.
Remember what the girl's name was?
No, I don't.
But her face rings a bell.
I see what you did there.
She tied up in the bell like a ringer.
Yeah.
That's what the priest said.
Yeah. I don't know. But her face rings a bell.
Okay, so we see that the winter has gone by, and a year has passed now since Dracula was destroyed in the previous film. The Monsignor comes to town, and he says he wants to clean the castle of all its evil influence. The local priest is terrified to even talk about it and refuses to walk all the way up to the castle with him.
He's just lame.
He's a wimp.
Mm-hmm.
It's dark by the time he arrives at the castle and begins his blessing. The terrified priest runs away and falls down the mountain, injuring himself and cracking open the ice that has trapped Dracula. He falls down on this patch of ice and looks down, and there he is.
Mighty convenient. He falls in just the right place, busts his head open enough to bleed, so it drips down into Dracula's mouth, revives him.
Yeah, how hard it is to crack a solid piece of ice with your head.
That's a heck of a coincidence.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, the priest looks and finds out that Dracula has risen from the grave. Suddenly he's standing there and he's looking hungry.
Yeah, but the Monsignor doesn't know this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Monsignor then returns to the town and says everything's fine now. The castle has been exorcised. We soon see that Dracula has enslaved the priest. Dracula and the priest hop on a carriage and hightail it to the nearest town, which just happens to be where the Monsignor lives.
Now, if I could point something out at this point, he enslaves the priest immediately. And granted, Dracula probably a little crabby, woke up in a bad mood. But at this point, why not just say, "Hey, priest, take that cross away from the door so I can get in the castle"?
The Monsignor's got this big, 2-foot-tall cross that he wedges inside the door.
Yeah, and seals the castle shut, so Dracula can't get into it. And he's all like, "Who did this to my castle?" And the priest says, "Monsignor did." And it's like, Dracula's, I'm going to kill this Monsignor then.
Now, at this point, I had just assumed that the priest put a blessing on it, which locks Dracula out. He cannot go inside. It's not as simple as just pulling the cross off the door.
Well, later we found out that's all it was.
Yeah, except later on, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
So,
Dracula can't do it himself. He can't touch it or even look at it.
But he can get his slaves to do it.
Why not
like
just
the priest
at
right
this
now?
Point? But I guess he's, crabby and, angry that the Monsignor did it. And, gonna...
So let's drive to the nearest town, get into this whole long revenge plot rather than just open the front door and let me in.
And own the village again, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seemed a little bit.
Yeah.
What? Why? Okay, whatever.
Because it wouldn't be much of a plot if he did it.
Because he was cranky. He woke up angry.
Yeah. So Dracula has dinner on the way to the other town, picking on Maria's waitress friend Zena for a first course.
Mm-hmm.
The Monsignor returns to his own town, and he's currently raising his niece Maria, who is his ward, and her mother. Maria's boyfriend, Paul, gets soaked in beer, which doesn't impress the Monsignor. When he mentions that he's an atheist, that impresses the Monsignor even less.
Yeah, when he visits the folks at a dinner. And
Begone, evil boyfriend.
He is not amused.
Well, the priest rents a room at the inn, and the basement has a secret area where he hides Dracula in his coffin. Dracula tells Zena, the girl that he bit, to bring Maria to him. He wants revenge on the Monsignor. Zena does her job, and Maria is brought in before Dracula. He's ready to bite her, but Paul interrupts and runs Dracula off. He enters her bedroom later that night, uninvited, and finally bites her. He puts the chomp on her.
Doesn't need that invitation to get in.
Well, she opens the door for him.
Yeah, he was sort of welcomed in.
Nobody says, "Come in, please," but they open the door and,
I'm
here.
Yeah, I don't use the actual word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Monsignor finds the bite marks. I want to call them barks. Bite marks. And knows immediately what has happened and who did it.
Yeah, he's been there, done this.
Yeah. Dracula comes back the next night, and the Monsignor runs him off with a cross and chases him across the rooftops. These rooftops look awfully reminiscent of the werewolf movie.
Yeah,
the Hammer Werewolf.
I think somebody's recycling.
Yeah, there's a lot of recycled sets here.
Mm-hmm.
The evil priest bashes the Monsignor in the head with a rock, and the Monsignor calls for Paul to help, and he explains everything to him before he dies. Paul then catches on to the evil priest and makes him lead Paul to Dracula, who is in his coffin. Paul places the stake above his heart, and he stakes him right down in there. But it doesn't work. It's still not enough, because Paul is an evil atheist and will not pray. Dracula grabs Maria as he escapes.
See, and I forget, I could just add another little thing too, a little point. Doesn't this kind of belittle an omnipotent, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-seeing God? That, it'll work, God will protect you, but you got to say the magic words. And like when he's blessing the castle at the beginning, he's got to have he's got the bell and the book and the castle, and he's got to say the magic words, and then put the cross and well, God will do this, but only if you know the right ceremony and the right words.
Well, what about all the Satanistic rituals? You're going to have the pentagram and the blood and the sacrifices.
Same thing there too.
Yeah, no, none of these guys are going to do anything for you because they want to.
No, I guess not. I mean, I don't know. It just kind of belittles the whole omnipotence thing, I think.
Just saying.
Yeah, I don't know. just a thought that I had. Yeah.
Well, Dracula grabs Maria as he escapes. They both board a carriage driven by the priest, and once again they head out of town.
On the run, once again.
Yeah, they all run to the castle. Maria pulls the big cross off the door and throws it down the mountain.
Yeah, Dracula commands
Dracula's
her
mind
to do this.
slave. She pulls it up off the door, throws
Yeah.
it down there. She's in exactly the same position the priest was in the beginning of the movie.
Could have saved all this trouble.
All he had to do was say, "Hey, priest, take that thing down."
Throw it off the mountain.
Yeah. And then Paul and Dracula wrestle, and Dracula gets thrown down the mountain and impaled on the cross.
Ow.
The evil priest comes to his senses and prays, causing the final death of Dracula.
Or does it?
But when we look again, there's no body there. Did he get away? Did he turn to dust? We don't know what happened. We weren't looking.
I bet he's dead forever and we'll never see him again. No
more Dracula.
No more Dracula. No more movies.
Yeah. Well, several interior sets for the previous Hammer films are noticeable here. From the previous Dracula films, as well as Frankenstein created woman and the Curse of the Werewolf. It all looks good and has a good story here. Dracula finally gets some lines this time.
He does. He's
and
cool
not
on
only
this
that, but he's got a plan for revenge.
All in all, big thumbs up on this one.
Yeah, big thumbs up.
Yeah.
Did you see a short film this week?
Yeah, which I thought was more depressing than horror. But yeah, such
Depends
as
on how you want to look at it.
Such as it is, yeah.
This one's called Ella. Ella, E-L-L-A, from 2020.
I thought it was really good.
Directed by Dan Gitsum, written by Dan Gitsum and James Driver, starring Anthony Stewart Head, Lisa Blackwell, Joanne Lancastle. 8 minutes, 50 seconds. Link to watch it for free in the show notes. You did like it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
I did too. Mostly because you could go a couple of ways with it.
And Anthony Stewart Head could read the phone book, and I would find it entertaining.
Best part of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, you're right up
I think he's my favorite actor on that show.
Yeah, he was awesome. Yeah.
He wasn't anywhere close to the main character, but he was my favorite. So, spoilers after the synopsis. Well, a father washes blood off his hands. There's been a murder. We assume he did it. He goes off with his gun and hunting dog into the woods in search of Ella, his daughter. We quickly learn that things may not be what they seem.
Not at all.
Very simple story. That's all I can say, but without giving away the ending completely. It's definitely worth watching for 9 minutes.
Yeah, I thought so.
Anthony Stewart Head, best known as Giles from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, doesn't get enough work today. He's always good, and he barely gets 1 or 2 short lines here, but he's still the main character. We don't really know what went on here. Did the father go insane and kill his wife and child as it appeared in the beginning? Or was Ella really some kind of dog-faced monster that killed the mother and then was put down by the father? Yeah, one of those. You get to decide.
Or something else even, too.
There could be other options.
Yeah, it's open to interpretation.
Very open.
Yeah.
He's crazy or she's a monster.
Somebody's crazy.
Yeah.
Or it's real.
Speaking of it's
Maybe
crazy.
nobody's crazy.
Or maybe it's just video.
Oh yeah, maybe they're crazy or maybe it's not.
Yeah, maybe they were made crazy by watching too much video.
Too much Videodrome.
Videodrome.
VHS. It's evil and scary.
Whew, yeah, I don't know how we ever made it through the 80s.
At least it was in 1983. It was relatively new, and I think I think you mentioned that in your review. They cash in on the new technology of VHS.
You remember back when PCs were new, they had the one where the PC was like summoning the devil?
Yeah, I think so.
He was using it to translate old scrolls or something, and then the PC just called the devil up.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, this is the same thing, only with videotape.
Yeah, more science fiction-y.
Well, then you got the Ring passing around VHSs, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys took their video very seriously.
Yeah.
So did you like Videodrome?
Very much. This was the third time I've seen it, and I enjoyed it.
I think this was the first time I saw it, and I enjoyed it a lot less than you did.
Saw it not long after it came out, and I saw it some years ago. And
it's probably a lot more relevant and good when it came out. And now it's just really kind of dated.
The technology. Well, it's all VHS technology.
Well, even if it were, computer discs or so, VHS isn't crucial to this. But you could be a YouTube video killing people for all we care.
Well, yeah, that. But no, I don't think.
Watch yourselves.
Other than the technology, I don't think it was dated. I didn't think so. Yeah, liked it. Liked it a lot.
Okay, 1983, directed by and written by David Cronenberg. Stars James Woods, Debbie Harry, Sonia Smits.
Yes.
Hour and 27 minutes.
Debbie Harry, that's lead singer of Blondie, in case you don't make that connection.
She's not a great actress in this.
She was perfect for this role. I don't know if she's a great actress or if she was just being herself. I think
she may have been herself. I think she was.
I thought she was perfect in this role. I don't know how versatile she could be as an actress. I haven't seen her. Well, there was some kind of anthology thing where she played like a wicked stepmother, not wicked stepmother, like a gingerbread house witch. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember what that was. It was a long time ago.
I've seen her in an anthology.
Okay,
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember what.
Yeah. But anyway, her real strength is music.
Look, it's extra star power for our film.
Yeah.
Who's this James Woods guy anyway? Let's get somebody we've heard of. Oh, Debbie Harry.
Yeah, he was relatively unknown at the time.
Yeah. And, James Woods, famous for crazy Twitter rants.
Now he is.
Yeah. Well, in this one, he plays Max Wren, who wakes up to a video call that reminds him about his morning's appointments.
Well, that wasn't actually a call. It was a pre-programmed. She pre-recorded it, and the VCR played on a timer.
Yeah, the VCR wakes up in the morning and plays his announcements, but she reads it to him as if it's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
Wakey, wakey! Here's your first appointment. Yeah, we just need Siri to do that, don't we?
Yeah.
Wakey, wakey!
Wakey, wakey!
Rise and shine!
Yeah.
Well, okay, so anyway, he goes to see a guy about a new show called Samurai Dreams. He's in charge of the network programming. He has to pick the shows.
Little indie network, an indie station.
Yeah. He says the show that Samurai Dreams is too soft. He wants something tough that'll make a name for his network. He watches some kind of pirate snuff film that his engineer shows him, and he kind of likes it. Then tells the engineer to track it down.
I can't believe how realistic it is. Look at that.
He says his network deals in porn, violence, and socially negative programming. Like everybody today.
Trying to find his niche. Yeah.
He watches the pirate signal, which he later learns is called Videodrome, again, and watches the torture, murder, and mutilation, and he wants to know how do they get actors to do that.
How indeed.
Well, he then meets Nikki, a radio phone-in psychiatrist. She watches the Videodrome tape, and she likes it. She likes the torture video, and she has the cuts on her body to show that she really likes it.
Yeah, she's kind of into it. She's a bad girl.
She even lets him pierce her ears in the middle of sex just for the fun of it. It gives penetration all new meaning, don't it?
Yeah.
Needles. Well, the next morning, he gets an agent to go hunt down the Videodrome producers. She says he should produce his own shows. Nikki says she plans to go to Pittsburgh and audition for the Videodrome show. She thinks it's a challenge. Can she take the pain?
Max thinks that's a bad idea.
So she burns herself with a cigarette just to show she's tough enough she can take it.
That's not where she burns herself.
Oh, that's right. Isn't it?
Yeah, right on the top of her boobie.
Yeah. That probably hurts.
It's a wince-worthy scene.
Well, Marcia the agent says Videodrome is not for public consumption. It's dangerous and he should stay away from it. It's more political than she can explain right now. And it's all for real. There's no acting. It really is snuff TV. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, Max goes looking for this guy, Professor Brian Oblivion. I'm going to change my name to that. Mm-hmm. He runs a homeless shelter that encourages TV watching. The Cathode Ray Mission.
Just something, yeah.
Yeah, there's your 80s futurism for you.
And each little, they've all got their own little like
cubicles with a TV.
Cots and cubicles, and they've all got TVs.
Come on in for a safe place to sleep and eat. No, you can sit here and watch TV if you want.
I saw something in the trivia that they had this all set up with so much equipment in there, and so many televisions going all at once and everything, and one of the tech guys came in the building and said, "Hey, do you know the wiring coming into the building is starting to smoke?" I guess they were overloading everything with all the power draw.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Oblivion won't speak directly to him, but he does send a videotape. About this time, Max starts seeing things, but he's not usually prone to hallucinations. Oblivion explains that TV is reality, and reality is less than TV. Your reality is already half video hallucination. Then Oblivion is murdered on the tape, which triggers more hallucinations.
And the hallucinations are pretty cool.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
A lot of practical effects, and
Yeah, Oblivion's daughter then says Videodrome is actually a signal, not a show. The signal then creates a brain tumor in the viewer. Brian Oblivion has been dead for nearly a year. Oh, that's not good.
Mm-mm.
He left thousands and thousands of videotapes for every contingency. Videodrome killed him. Max hallucinates pushing a gun inside an open belly wound, and then when he wakes up, he can't find the gun.
Because it's in his belly vagina now.
Okay. Things get weirder and weirder from there, with a plot to take over the station.
And a plot to take over the world.
Will the ones behind all this completely brainwash Max to murder for them, or is it all just a video hallucination?
Or hallucinations within hallucinations.
Tune in to Videodrome and learn the truth. Okay, well, it looks like the filmmakers are trying to cash in on the newfangled product called the VCR. I don't remember actually being a lot of fear concerning VCRs, unlike the home computer, for example. But for a while, video was seen as a major world-changing event. Whether it really changed the world or not is kind of still up for debate. There's a lot here about the idea that what you see becomes your reality, and who can control reality and becoming whatever you can envision. Reality is what you think it is.
What they make you want to see. What they make you see.
And also, you can blow stuff up with your mind if you really concentrate hard.
As proven in Videodrome.
Yeah. And scanners and lots of other proof films.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Speaking of blowing stuff up with your mind, do we see anything else this week?
We saw some live theater taped. We didn't see it literally live. The National Theater production of Frankenstein. They did this interesting production where Benedict Cumberbatch and Johnny Lee Miller played the monster and the doctor, and they would alternate the roles. Some nights they would be one or the other.
Yeah, one night Cumberbatch is the monster, the next night he's the scientist.
And they were both available on YouTube. For you could see both full versions taped.
Yeah,
taped on stage.
Got a link at the show notes. But it might be just for a limited time, so if you're thinking you want to see this, you might want to hurry.
And you might have to look around a bit if
if it's not on the nationaltheater.org website, check YouTube. Check around, it's out there. It was done in 2011, so it's not new.
Yeah.
2 hours and 1 minute. Mm-hmm. And there is a link to get you to the site. Did you like it?
Yes. Very much. Overall, yes.
Why?
Because it was kind of a different take on it, and it was interesting seeing live performances on stage, not like movie performances.
Okay.
And knowing that this was one continuous... when you see a movie... and they're acting for 2 or 3 minutes usually, if that. and the editing and the cutting, and they make it perfect afterwards and assemble it and rearrange it and add effects after the fact and digital and computerized. And this was all done in front of us. The acting and the stagecraft, the special effects, the makeup, everything was there, just running in one continuous thing.
There were multiple cameras, and you can tell that they would cut from one camera to another camera, but there was no cuts and edits.
No, it was a live stage, live audience watching it.
Yeah. The show goes on for 2 hours and 1 minute, and the film goes on for 2 hours and 1 minute, so we see it all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was very different in that regard, different than a movie. Liked it.
Okay, cool. Well, we begin with a giant egg on the stage. I liked it somewhat less.
Okay, the beginning was a little weak, I thought, and went on too long. And he's going to be less kind about that than I'm going to be. His birth, the creation of the monster. It begins when the monster's brought to life.
Yeah, we don't see him putting the monster together or any of that stuff.
But it's a kind of a very stylized creation, which I'm sure you'll tell us about.
We begin with a giant egg on the stage, and we can see movement within. There's a little bit of a light show, and boom, the monster is born. He flops and convulses around the stage for several long minutes with no one there to help him. He flops around for 11 straight minutes.
Okay, that was a little excessive.
Until Dr. Frankenstein comes in and finds him and then runs away.
Yeah, freaks out.
And then we have 6 more minutes.
Flopping around.
Finally, a bunch of guys
trying to stand and struggling just to move right. And
it's his boneless chicken impersonation.
Which I could see that a little bit. He's been brought to life from dead, and he doesn't know how to use his body.
If you were born 11 minutes ago, it would take longer than that for you to learn to walk too, but it's boring.
Too much of it.
Yeah.
A little would have gone a long way. Yeah.
A bunch of guys come in on a steampunk train and start singing, and I thought, hey, this is a musical. Maybe it's going to be pretty cool.
Not quite.
Not really.
Not really musical.
They then beat up the monster and drive off again. Some grass appears on the stage, and the monster rolls around and eats dirt for a while. 20 minutes in, a couple of travelers come across the monster and run away.
Because amongst all this, he's still struggling with how to move and how to walk, and just minimal functioning.
Which brings up a whole unrelated point.
Yeah.
Throughout if you read the book, Frankenstein is super intelligent, super articulate, and kind of sneaky. He's very stealthy and coordinated.
The creature?
The creature, yes. He's a very cold killer. Mm-hmm. And these guys, they walk around like nothing I can say and be politically correct.
Brain damaged is how they come across as. I think because which he was.
Yeah.
It's a brain. It's a brain that was literally dead for who knows how long.
But he's supposed to be a genius, and he talks like the bag boy at Kmart.
Not in this.
Okay.
Yeah, not too brain damaged and recovering from that damage, I guess.
I would do an impersonation from it, but I'd probably get banned from YouTube, so I let that one go. So the creature comes across an old blind man who becomes his friend. The creature learns to read and think with the old man. So he's not too brain damaged. He can read, and he's very intelligent.
Well, it gradually he recovers, and the brain starts working better, and
he never talks any better, though.
No, but imagine, and we don't have to be politically incorrect. There's literally people out there who have mental deficiencies, mental problems, or severe brain damage that they've recovered from, and they've learned how to walk and talk again. That's very much what this guy was like,
I'm really surprised this really wasn't criticized by,
because
certain organizations.
But he's mocking the handicap.
It really does very much look like that.
No,
yeah,
but he was, his brain damage, and I don't know.
It's a take.
It was what it was. Yeah,
it's a take.
It was a take on it. Yeah.
Okay, so then the old man's son comes in, sees the creature, and runs him off. The creature then gets his revenge. He then meets a young boy named William who says his own name is Frankenstein. He's Victor's younger brother.
Huh.
The monster grabs him and goes to hide, and after a search, they find William dead on a boat. Dun dun dun. Mm-hmm. The doctor and the monster finally confront each other. The creature wants him to build a female.
Because he's one of a kind. Everybody has a female or a companion. Everybody has somebody, even the birds and and the animals, and I have nobody. And,
yeah. Victor refuses, and the creature says he's going to regret that decision. After some arguing and wrangling, Victor then agrees to try. After some grave robbing and speech-making, he is nearing the end of his work. Suddenly, he has a change of heart and destroys the woman creature. Victor is soon to be married, and the monster plans to wreck things. The creature goes to Elizabeth, who isn't afraid of him, and offers to be his friend. He then apologizes and kills her.
Yeah, that was kind of touching, because I think he really liked her, and but Dr. Frankenstein broke his word.
His revenge comes
so
first.
So he's got to break his word and have revenge. Yeah.
Victor then chases the monster north through many lands, up to the Arctic, and the show ends with an eternal pursuit.
So it kind of roughly followed the original
roughly,
story.
It's the book.
Yeah. Still cool stagecraft stuff and cool effects that they did. And,
Well, I first started watching the clock at 7 minutes in when he was still rolling on the floor.
Yeah, there was that.
At 9 minutes in, he stands up for the first time. 20 minutes in, he was upgrading himself to the point where he was eating dirt. It's painfully slow, especially in the beginning.
I thought just at the beginning. I thought once it gets going that it wasn't.
It did pick up as it went along.
I didn't think. Yeah.
But the first 15 minutes, if I were watching it alone, I never got through it. I'd have changed to something else. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of acting going on here, and I can see why theater buffs and critics say the performances are excellent. Mm-hmm. I'm a horror fan. I like the plot. I like the story, and there's not much of that here. If you know the basic outline of the Frankenstein book, you could take the top 5 points of that, and this is it. They make him. Mm-hmm. Actually, they don't even make him in this. He starts.
We don't see him being made. Yeah.
He gets abused by the crowd. He goes to see the old man. He wants a wife. He kills Elizabeth, and they go up north. Mm-hmm. That's the entirety of the plot. There's not much in between. Mm-hmm. All right, so a lot of acting going on here. There's not much real horror here. There's a lot of talk and philosophy, which is the heart of the Frankenstein book. But I think a film fan who isn't really a fan of live plays is going to find this really dull.
I'm a fan of live theater, too.
Yeah, so. He's been in lots of plays. He's an award-winning theater person.
I am an award-winning theater actor. Yeah.
With IMDb credits and everything else.
Oh, yeah, I got an IMDb movie credit, yeah.
I, on the other hand, went to a play once. So if you're patient, though, it's very good for a play. Mm-hmm. So I was very impressed with the technical aspect of this. The stage itself is really worth... The stage is the star of this thing, I thought.
In a way, yeah.
I kept watching the stage, see what it would do next.
That was pretty fascinating.
It rotates, it opens up, it has interchangeable parts.
Things come up from above, from below.
Rooms come up from above.
Yeah.
It's really neat.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So the light shows also have a big place in this, and the occasional light shows are very excellent and actually have a place in the plot as well. Now, I'm not really a play person, but this was technically fascinating. I thought it was very interesting to see how they did it. 2 hours live show, no intermissions, no breaks.
And a note about the actors too. We saw the full version with Benedict Cumberbatch playing the creature. Johnny Lee playing the doctor.
Fast forward a little bit through the other one.
We watched the other version, just bits and highlights and stuff, and it's pretty clear that Benedict Cumberbatch is a stronger actor. I thought he was better in both roles.
Whichever film you watch, he's the better character in.
Yeah,
he's the better monster. He's the better science. It'd been nice if he could play both roles
at once.
That would have been a trick.
That's you can't do that in live theater very well.
Yeah.
They manage it in Jekyll and Hyde, but I don't think they could in this.
So thumbs up, but be patient with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so. And that's our show, eh?
It is our show. Thanks for joining us. Stop in during the week at horrorguys.com for horror updates. Comment on the podcast or to contact us in 1,000 different ways. Get ready for next week. We'll be watching some movies.
What will we see?
We'll begin with The Man They Could Not Hang from 1939.
Boris Karloff.
The Devil Rides Out from 1968. The giallo film Tenebrae from 1982. And, what was that other one?
The Platform.
The Platform.
A last-minute change
from
of
this
venue.
year.
We were thinking of a certain movie, which will not be named.
Well, we talked about...
And then we saw
last
a
week we
preview
promised we'd
for-
review Dr. Sleep this week.
Well,
Now we're going to promise Dr. Sleep for next week, but I'll tell you, we're not going to watch it
We're
because...
pushing Dr. Sleep forward. We saw a preview for an international film called The Platform that looks really fascinating.
Just released and looks really good. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Sleep, watch it if you want to. It got sucky reviews.
We'll watch it eventually. I insist we'll watch it eventually.
2.5 hours of something
Why
we've
is
already...
it so long?
Because they sleep a
Why
lot.
does it have to be so long?
Yeah. Well, that's our show. Tune in
Yeah.
next week and we'll have some stuff for you. See ya.
See ya.